In the history of world wrestling entertainment, the word legacy is thrown around like currency. It is the lifeblood of the industry, the Unoue family, the Rhodes, the Flairs. We have seen sons rise to eclipse their fathers, and daughters take the mantle of queens. But every so often, the wrestling world is hit by an asteroid of force from outside our galaxy, carrying a name that carries weight not just in the ring, but in the cultural consciousness of the entire world. We thought we had seen every surprise, thought we knew every signing, every rumor, every dirt sheet speculation. We were wrong. The atmosphere in the Allstate Arena in Chicago was already electric. The Women's Championship was being held hostage by a dominant faction, a grip so tight that the division felt suffocated. The fans were restless, craving a savior, or at the very least, a chaotic element to disrupt the order. They expected a returning legend, maybe a call-up from NXT. What they got was a scene straight out of an action movie, and the fallout is still settling. The champion stood tall in the ring, berating the crowd with nuclear heat, claiming that there wasn't a woman on the planet with the pedigree to stand in her ring. She declared herself the standard. And then, a sharp metallic sword draw sliced through the PA system, plunging the arena into total darkness. Commentary was panicked, asking if the power had gone out or if someone was playing games. But this darkness felt heavy. A single spotlight snapped on at the center of the entryway, revealing a silhouette, tall, imposing, dressed in a long, flowing trench coat that looked like a blend of tactical gear and traditional martial arts robes. The figure stood perfectly still. No taunting, no movement, just presence. Then the music hit, fusion of heavy industrial metal and traditional Japanese shamisen strings. The Titantron flickered with images of breaking bones and shattered camera lenses. The figure began to walk. She moved with a fluidity that was terrifyingly recognizable, not the swagger of a wrestler, but the calculated walk of a fighter who knows exactly how the fight ends before it begins. As she removed her coat, the connection clicked for the live crowd. A murmur turned into a roar. Arissa LeBrock, the daughter of the Hollywood action icon Steven Seagal, and legendary supermodel Kelly LeBrock. It was the ultimate fusion of Hollywood glamour and lethal martial arts striking. Corey Graves lost his mind on commentary, screaming that the rumors were dead for years, yet here she was. She slid into the ring, vaulting over the top rope without touching it, and stood toe-to-woo with the champion. When the champion tried to speak, Arissa didn't let the sentence finish. In a flash of motion, she snatched the microphone, trapping the wrist in a signature Aikido manipulation that forced the champion to her knees in agony. The microphone thudded to the canvas as Arissa leaned in, her voice caught by the ringside cameras, simply saying, "The acting stops now." Security swarmed the ring, but what happened next went viral within 30 seconds. Arissa used their momentum against them, tossing a 200-pound guard with an effortless hip throw and dropping another with a palm heel thrust to the chest. It was brutal efficiency, frantic, bone-breaking style of her father adapted for the squared circle. Backstage, the chaos was palpable. Triple H was shouting to let the moment breathe, while the locker room watched in stunned silence. Arissa stood in the center of the ring, surrounded by downed bodies, looking into the hard camera. She raised one hand, fingers open, then slowly closed it into a fist. The media fallout was immediate. TMZ and ESPN ran the story, but the headlines missed the point. It wasn't about who her father was. It was about the violence she had just introduced to the ecosystem. When paparazzi ambushed her in the parking lot, asking if she was here to take the title, she turned that piercing gaze to the lens and said, "My father made movies. I make examples. Tell the locker room. School is in session." To understand the magnitude of this debut, you have to understand the burden. Being a daughter of in this business is a double-edged sword. But while the world thought she was modeling, she was in dojos in Japan and rolling on mats in Brazil. She wasn't trying to be a diva or a superstar. She was built to be an enforcer. Reports surfaced that no one wanted to work with her, claiming she was too stiff and dangerous. But dangerous is the most valuable marketing tool in combat sports. By the time the next pay-per-view rolled around, Arissa LeBrock was the main attraction. Champion, humiliated, demanded a no-holds-barred fight. It was a trap, an ambush with two other enforcers ready to run the rookie out of the company. But when the bell rang, we saw the full repertoire. Arissa caught the first attacker with a judo throw, absorbed a clothesline without flinching, and delivered a striking combination that left the crowd gasping. She isolated the champion, mouthing the word checkmate, before delivering a devastating modified suplex that folded her opponent in half. She didn't raise the title belt after the 3 count. She simply kicked it aside. She wanted dominance, not jewelry. But the celebration was cut short. The lights dimmed to a blood red, and a symbol appeared on the screen that we hadn't seen in years. Out from the shadows walked a woman with a legacy just as heavy, Charlotte Flair, and she wasn't alone. Flanking her was Ronda Rousey, 2 of the most dangerous women in history, staring down the newcomer. The Aikido specialist versus the queen and the baddest woman on the planet. Arissa didn't back down. She cracked her neck and smiled for the first time. The debut was over. The war had just begun. Arissa LeBrock didn't just open the door to the WWE, she kicked it off its hinges. And now, everyone inside has to survive the draft.